Alright guys, welcome back to another weapon system, and that is X in this case. So this is what we're gonna be doing today. In the previous video we created the weapon system for the gun, but in this video we're gonna be creating the weapon system for the X. So basically our game has only two weapons for now. So yeah, you can see that there's an X and the arm, and there's a crosshair through that's gonna be acting as a reference for the aim. So if I have to hit this metal, you can see that it's applying the force from where I'm hitting it and not applying the force in the forward direction, you know. So yeah, that makes sense. The sparks coming out of it, and there's a human. If I hit him, you can see he flew away. You can see the realistic effect on the screen, the arm, blade, handle, lantern. So that's what we're gonna be doing, and after a second it just goes away. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be using the same technique, that is the RayCast, that we used in the earlier tutorial. So in order to understand that better, I recommend that go ahead and watch them if you haven't, and come back here and you will understand that. In this one we're gonna be basically emitting the RayCast, but not from the, there's no gun in here apparently, so no nozzle here. So we're gonna be emitting instead from the middle of the screen, that is from the crosshair right here. You can see that. Alright, so let's get started. This is our scene. I'm gonna first have the crosshair, so I'm gonna go ahead and create an empty game object, call it crosshair, and then go ahead into component, rendering, and then GUI textures. Now you can go ahead and grab any crosshair. In the earlier video I showed you how to make a crosshair, and then make sure the position is at actually 0.5. So it says 0.5, which means exactly at the middle of the screen. And also I'm going to resize it to about 0.1 to 0.15, I don't know, 1, and I'm going to have 2. Yeah, that's perfect now. So yeah, this is our crosshair. As you can see, it's going to be acting as the reference. So again, we're going to be using the RayCast, and we're going to be emitting the RayCast from this crosshair. I'm going to be telling to Unity that I want to emit the RayCast exactly from this crosshair, and it will emit in the forward direction. That is this blue axis you see, it's a z-axis. It will go in the z-axis, and we'll check to see that if any enemy is at the vicinity, and if he is, we're gonna apply the damage. And we're gonna also check to see if we're hitting some other object like this, so we're gonna act accordingly. So you know what, let's get started with. Alright, go to script and create a new JavaScript, call it I don't know, X script. Yeah, X script, and open it up in more develop, and I'll show you what we're doing now. This is what I mean here. We have the screen. This is our main camera, or in this case, oops, this is the screen, and this is our crosshair. We're going to be telling the Unity we want to emit exactly at the midpoint of the screen, so we'll go all the way to the forward position, and then we'll check to see we're hitting any object, and then we'll check to see what type of object it is. It's metal, wood, glass, or whatever, and then we'll, you know, emit the particle accordingly. And then we'll also check to see we're hitting some human or whomever. So yeah, let's get started. This is our script. I'm gonna start fresh. I'm gonna need some variable first and foremost. So when we talk about the X, what is the first variable come in our mind is the range. So I'm gonna have public var the range is gonna be of int, and it's gonna be short. Unlike the earlier video, we created a range of like 1000 unit. This is not gun, this is X, so I'm gonna keep it as short as possible. I'm gonna have it 7. I'm just guessing here. So yeah, public var, again we need another variable, and this is gonna be the force. This is for the objects with the rigid body, so we're gonna apply force to them. So if you're hitting any object with the X, then we want to apply some sort of force or torque in this case. So we're gonna have the force of, I don't know, 100 for now. I'm gonna change it later accordingly. And then we need yeah, we need the damage. That damage is gonna be a float. It can be of any type, but it's up to you. And then I'm gonna have yeah, we need the most important variable, and that's the screen point. So screen point, oops, point with the P capital here, and then this is gonna be of vector 2. Now why vector 2 is we're dealing with the 2-axis, that is basically the screen, which is you can see in here. So they want to be telling the Unity they want to emit the ray from the middle of the screen. So for now that's it. I'm gonna be creating more. So at the start we definitely want it. So at the function start, I want to make sure that the screen point currently is 0, so I'm gonna make sure that it's positioned exactly at the middle of the screen. So I'm gonna do is this: screen point is equals to new vector 2, and it's gonna be screen dot width divide by 2 comma screen dot height divide by 2. So again, what am I doing in here is saying screen, this is the whole screen, you can see I'm dividing it by 2, which means exactly the half of the width of the screen, and then the height, again I'm dividing it, so it's gonna be just exactly up here. This is the place where it's gonna be. So that's done. Let's see, hopefully no error right now. So let's go ahead, get back to it, and we're gonna have function update, and in this case I want to just check to see, just basically I'm just starting simply, so I want to check to see if the user hit input dot key, sorry, get key down, this key code dot mouse 0. If the user hit the left mouse button, you can add any key you want to add. So if he really hits that button, I want to call the function x, and let's create the function hit here, and yeah, so this is where the actually this is where the actual magic begins or start. So again, I wanna I've actually had the middle position. Now I told the Unity, now I had the variable that's gonna tell the Unity that we want to emit the ray exactly at the middle of the screen. Then now what next we need is the actual laser, that is this RayCast. So I'm gonna create war the ray, and it's gonna be of type ray, and I'm gonna assign it here. In this method I'm using kind of quite different technique than what we did in the gun shoot system. So yeah, so what I did, I created the ray. Now I'm assigning it the position of it. So I'm saying camera dot main dot screen point to ray. Perfect. So what am I saying here is that access all the camera that is available in our scene, and then look for the main camera, that is the camera tagged as the main camera. Yeah, camera tagged as main camera. So then I want to make sure that screen point to ray. So what I mean is emit the ray from whatever point I say in here. So what point I want to emit is the screen point right here. So I'm gonna say screen point, that is the point from where we want to emit the ray. So it's gonna emit it exactly at the middle of the screen. Now that our ray is actually created and we've emitted actually, and then we need one important thing, and that's the hit. Alright, RayCast hit. So again, the RayCast hit is basically a variable that each and every time we emit the RayCast, it contains all the information about the RayCast, information like what object we hit, where we hit to that object. So in this case it's forearm, it's where we hit, so it's gonna give all that specific information. So we need that actually. Like I said, we're gonna be checking for what object we're hitting. Excuse me, what's going on here? Got messages, bunch of messages. Alright, so then we're gonna be checking it. So that is the reason we need this guy. It's kind of important. So here what we're doing is this. Let me show you this. Physics dot RayCast, and this is what it is. Okay, so this method right here is gonna be going into physics, and there's a method so called RayCast which actually gonna emit the RayCast. Alright, we created the RayCast, we assigned its position, we didn't emit it there. Okay, we're gonna be emitting it up here. So again, there are many ways of emitting the RayCast, but the simple the one that we want here is this. We're gonna be first passing the ray. Again, we created the ray, so we're just saying this is the ray what we want to emit, and then we're gonna say we need some additional information too, which is this, and then we need last but not the least, the distance. So it's basically is when at what distance we want to apply damage. So it's something I didn't create it. No, I created the range, so it's gonna be the range. Okay, so this method is gonna emit the RayCast, but we need to know not only we need to know that we not only emitted the RayCast, but is it hitting something or not. So that is the reason why every time we put it in the if condition, so it then tells that it hits something. Alright, so whenever it hits something, do this whenever the RayCast hits something. So whenever it hits something, so again this is gonna emit the RayCast, and then we're checking if we really emit it and hit something, then do this. So now what we want to do, if we hit something, we want to actually check what we hit. Alright, we just don't want to apply some blood, some sparks without knowing what object we're hitting. So we want to definitely know what we're hitting. So again, that's where the hit comes in, this RayCast hit variable that contains all the information. So we're going to be consulting this guy and actually understanding what object we're hitting and all that stuff. So first and foremost, I'm gonna look if we're hitting if we're hitting a metal object. Okay, so we're gonna say again we need the same variable, the hit. It contains all the information, and then the hit.collider. This is the way of accessing it, because you know Unity always senses through collider. If the object doesn't have collider, it will not gonna detect that we hit something or not, because it's like it got no bone, it's just a skin. Alright, so that's what I'm saying. So collider dot, it's gonna be what, compare tag. Yeah, what we're doing in here is this. We're asking this guy, alright, that whatever you hit, just access that guy through help of collider, and then get its tag and check to see whether that guy's tag is metal or not. So if that guy's, or if that object's tag is metal, then we want to do what we want to do in here. So this is how we differentiate between object. We basically go in here and say if this was metal, then we're gonna go ahead and change its tag to metal, or tag to enemy, ground, whatever. So that is how we're gonna differentiate. Oh my god, that is how we differentiate the objects. Alright, so I'm gonna, this as you can see is a ground, so I'm gonna go ahead and tag it as a ground. So that's for not only for our understanding, but it also helps us to make the Unity understand that what type of object it is. So it is metal, so we're gonna be, that's what we're saying, if you hit a metal, then you want to do what we say in here. So we want to first and foremost add torque to it, right? If we're hitting a metal, we want to emit sparks, we want to add force to it, not force but torque. You will understand what I mean. So actually let's get started with that. So I'm gonna say the hit dot collider. Again, this is how we access that object. Now we have accessed the object because we're in its collider, so we're in that object, and we're gonna check to see is this, since we're applying torque or force, which means that is some sort of physics stuff, so that object have to have rigid body in it. Okay, so this box right here has a rigid body. You can see rigid bodies are nothing but the object that are affected by the force or physics, I mean. So if you're gonna add force to it, it will flow away, this or wherever it's gonna flow away, or if you add torque to it, it will rotate and add force and all that crap. So it has rigid body if you adding force or torque to it. So I'm gonna also go ahead and access this rigid body, and that's important because if that object doesn't have rigid body, which means it's not gonna be affected by the force and all that stuff. So just go ahead and add torque, not force, because we're dealing with something else in here, not the gun shooting or something like that. So add torque. Now where we want to add torque. Now by the way, adding torque is nothing but like applying the force at the corner, so it will make the box, you know, rotate. So it will make this box kind of rotate. It will make sense when I'll show at the very end what I mean. So add torque. Now add torque is same as like rotate this object. Alright, so in what direction I want to rotate. Alright, let me show you something. Okay, hold up. I'm gonna go ahead and play automatically. I'm gonna take it up, make it loop, just so I can clear my point what I'm saying in here. So you can see that the X is hitting from right to left. So what we want to do is this. We want to kind of go ahead and we want to do is this. We want to rotate this object. Alright, since we're hitting from right to left, we want to not only add force, we want to make it add torque. So that's what I'm saying. So what am I going to do? Where I'm going to add torque is this vector 3.right, and it's going to be force mode dot impulse. I'm saying that add torque or force, whatever, according to its weight. So if it's heavier, it's gonna add a little bit amount of torque or force. Yeah, so now let me show you what I mean. Hold up, I'm gonna have to assign that script, so just go ahead and assign it. You can see all the variables in here. Yeah, so it has to, you know, add torque. So if I click here, you can see it makes sense now, right? I'm adding torque on the right side. Okay, alright, so now we added the torque. We need to also add the animations to it. So first and foremost, go ahead and, you know, untick that play automatically, and also don't forget to turn it to once mode. Alright, and then just alright, here's the thing. The script is attached to the main root, or should I say the main object, and we want to animate the arm. That is, you can see the effect when he just swing his arm with the X. So you want to make that animate. So let me just remove it. Alright, which is in here, the animated arm, right? So we need to access it. We're here, alright, we need to access all the way to here, this guy, and we want to tick that button through the help of script. So what we're going to be doing is this. We're going to be having you know what, let's have a private variable here, private, and it's going to be animated. I spelled it wrong, I guess. Animated shit arm is going to be a game object. Yeah, why private is because there's no need of it to have public. We're not going to be tweaking it whatsoever. So yeah, since now it's private, now currently it's null, which means it's empty. So we need to fill this variable with the actual animated arm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and assign it, which means I'm filling this object, this variable, with game object dot find. I'm saying it to Unity that just go to my scene and find the game object with the name animated. Make sure you spell it exactly, not pronounce, but spell it exactly what you did, the lowercase and uppercase and all that stuff. So yeah, the animated arm, it's gonna then go ahead and search for me at the very start, and it will assign it. So now this object has the animated arm, so whatever I have to do with that animated arm, I'm gonna do it through here. So as soon as I am actually, by the way, this method is actually emitting the RayCast, which means we're actually hitting in here, and we're hitting in here, actually in here. So so here I want to play the animation, because I'm gonna be playing the animation and then applying the effect. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and say animated arm, where are you? That's where I spell it right. Okay, game object dot animation dot play. So that's what I said, right? I access its game object, its animation player, and I set it to play. But there are multiple animation up there. What I want to play, I want to play x/animation if that's the correct spelling of it. Yeah, but you'll notice one thing in here. Let me just bump up the force value to higher, say 500. I don't know, it's not gonna play unnecessarily. When I'm gonna hit it, it's gonna play. But you notice something, it's applying the torque before even playing the animation, so it's like looking unrealistic, right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're applying the torque, or in short, I'm just pushing that object right after or at the time the animation is being played. So there's one way of doing it, is this. I'm gonna be saying yield wait for a second. I'm gonna say don't apply the effect unless and until the animation is done. So yeah, that's the way of saying it. Yield wait for a second. which means just stop. And here I'm gonna have a variable. Okay, I'm gonna have public var animation time. You can name it whatever you want to name it. I'm gonna have, how long is my animation? I think about 1 second, or you know what, let's have it 0.5 seconds. Alright, which means half a second. So it's gonna wait for that amount of time. So I'm saying wait for the animation amount of time. Yeah. So let the variable come up, and yeah, I'm gonna test to see. You'll notice that it's gonna apply force after some amount of time. It's not gonna apply very quickly. So here we go. You see, it's looking much better right now, right? Okay, so if you want, you can just, according to the animation you have created, you can just increase it or decrease it. So we're done and settle up there. What we're missing out, yeah, we're missing out one more thing, and that's if we're hitting a human, then what we want to do. So again, we're going to check to see if we're going to console the same the hit variable that contains all the information we're going to be accessing through the collider, not color, oops, the collider, yeah, dot, I'm gonna say compare tag, check to see that its tag is enemy, or you can say human. But yeah, if that object's tag is enemy, then you want to go ahead and do this. Now again, I would have to access, now here I was accessing the same object but to check its tag, right? But here I'm accessing that object to do something else. But here's the thing, what we want to do, if we're hitting enemy, then we want to actually emit blood, right? Okay, we cannot add force or torque to that, but if you want, you can do the same thing what you did up here. But it doesn't make sense to add torque to a human when you're hitting with the X. So we want to emit blood, so for that we need blood. So for that we need to have a variable for that. So I'm gonna have it, yep, public var the blood, and that's gonna be, the blood are always particle system, but it can be also particle emitter too. Let me show you what's the differences between them. First, you need to, by the way, create the blood particles. So I already have created one. I've showed in the earlier tutorial, so you can just go ahead and watch them. Where's the blood? Where's the blood? I don't know, was it this one? No, this doesn't make sense. I want to have something that, you know, comes out very instantly, so that giving us the effect like, yeah, really blood came out when we hit something like this. You can see, but it's not a blood. I don't know, I've named it, but anyway, I created multiple of them. So okay, it's this one, yeah, simulate it, yeah, it's the blood. Now here's the thing, how you'll notice it, you can see that it's written particle system here, which means it's of particle system type, it's not particle emitter. Okay, so this guy right here, this bloods, which is something we don't want, but I'm just showing that it's of particle emitter. So if you want that, we're gonna have it particle emitter, but we want this guy right here, so it's a particle system type. So I'm gonna change it to particle system, thank you. So now we have the particle system. Also, if you would have to even if you have the variable of particle emitter type, it will not gonna work. Say this is particle emitter, right? If I try to drag it over it, it will not allow me to do that because it's of different type and this is of different type. That is this particle system, that is the blood we want, right? This is what we want. So yeah, now we want to emit that blood. We have the blood, so yeah, here what we want to do, right? So if you look at this picture, we're emitting the blood not anywhere else but the point where we hit. So in short, where our X hit the in what place you X hit it, at that place we want to emit the blood. So again, the same guy contains the all information. So we want to first and foremost say to Unity that we want to instantiate, which means create. And now create what? We want to create the blood. Now it takes 3 parameter or argument. that is what you want to emit, where you want to emit, and its rotation. So I want to emit the blood, but where? I want to emit the blood at the point where we hit that object. So again, that's this variable that contains the information, so it's going to be the hit dot point. All right, it's the point where we hit it. Simple as that. It's of 3-axis variable. It contains like 3-axis, like x, y, z, and all that stuff. You don't need to know it, but all right, the rotation is important. All right, it's really is important. Let me show you an example with the help of paint, if I can open it up. Paint, not complicated but simple to know. See, all right, come on. So the rotation, like I said, what I added paint in here. Anyway, so yeah, again, say if we're hitting it from this direction, all right, to an object, say this is the objects or whatever, and if we're hitting it from this direction, all right, then obviously I want the blood to come out, to go in this direction, right? Oops. All right, I want it to go in that direction, right? Because I'm hitting it with the force, all right, and not want to hit it in that want to emit the blood on that direction. So if you know what I mean in here, so that's important. So there's going to be one guy, and that's quaternion dot from to rotation. Now from to rotation is a method that makes sure that, you know, the blood is emitting at the perfect direction. So it takes two parameter again, from direction and to direction. The from direction is nothing but from where we're hitting it. So since we're hitting it from this direction, so you'll understand what I mean in here. So I'm gonna just say from direction is basically our the direction we're facing. So forward, right. So which means we're hitting it from the direction we're facing. The hit, oh my god, the hit dot normal. Oops, just added extra bracket, or yeah, perfect. Alright, so what am I saying is it's gonna, this method again makes sure that the blood is emitting or facing at the right direction, a perfect direction. So just make sure to assign the blood into the variable, and let's start. So this is not the enemy, so if I hit it, no blood will come out. But if I hit this guy, because this guy, main lizard right here, is tagged enemy, alright, so we will get to see the effect. Where is he? Yeah, if I hit him, you see the blood coming out. That's a massive amount of blood. Anyway, alright, so we did that. Okay, we got it. We emitted the blood. Now there's a lot of things still missing out, and that's yeah, here too we need to add sparks up there. So the same method we're gonna do to do it. So it's gonna be public public var these sparks, and it's gonna be particle system. Yeah, particle system. Yeah, particle system. Yeah, in here when we're hitting a metal object, we want to add torque to it. Also we want to add sparks to it, so that is gonna give more realistic effect. Instantiate, want to instantiate these sparks, want to instantiate at the place we hit, so it's the point where we hit it, and the direction. You will understand what I was actually saying in here quite better. So from to rotation, from where we're heading, so it's going to be vector 3 dot forward, and then it's going to be forward, and it's going to be the hit dot normal. What is going on? Yeah, from normal. Yeah, any object's normal is basically its facing direction. So what I mean is this object, this plane's face is obviously in this direction, so its normal is this. This plane I'm talking about, face is going in that direction, the z-axis, so its normal is in that side. So if you know what I mean in here. Oh, I just forgot to assign the sparks. we have that empty, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that it's already in the Unity, so I'm gonna just go ahead and yeah. So this is what I was saying. You can see the direction of this box is going in the z-axis, right? So if I'm hitting, you can see my arms in this side, right? So this is my forward position, and if I'm hitting this object right here, I want to make sure that the sparks is coming out facing my side. So I will make something like this. I will tell the Unity to arrange it facing in my direction, right? This is what it's gonna be like. If I hit it, it's gonna emit it in my side. So hopefully now you understood what I mean. So now, oops, okay, this is a particle emitter, so we need to change the type to particle emitter. Alright, the sparse we want to have particle emitter. Thank you. So now I'm gonna assign it simply. Yeah, it will work now. So if I hit the metal, I should see the sparks coming out, and by the way, if I'm hitting it, it will come out facing my direction. If I hit up here, it will face in the upward direction. Notice that? See, it's facing the upward direction. If I hit it here, it's gonna face the right direction. That's what am I saying. It wasn't quite noticeable with the blood, so if I hit it, we're not gonna notice anything. It's just a bunch of crap coming out anyway. What the fuck? Shit, my alarm. Alright, apologize for that. Alright, now we have the particle systems going on. There's still something messing up, and that's well, yeah, that's one thing we didn't realize, and it's only about time we test it, then we get to know something, and which is this. You see something? I'm just hitting once and it's actually acting like a machine gun. Just keep applying that. The animation is just uneven, so we need to have that coordination. Want to make sure what's happening is in here, you know, I'm tapping it multiple times and there is no break, and just one after another it's applying the damage to it, and it doesn't even matches with the animations. Alright, so if I just shoot once again, I'm just hitting that up, just applying the damage.